when I noticed something on the back of my knee. It looked like a little teeny tiny mole, maybe no bigger than the diameter of a pencil eraser, maybe smaller than that. So I, mentioned it to my doctor whenever I was going for my checkups for Ruby that, I had this place that had come up on my leg and they didn't do anything else about it. And then when Ruby was 9 weeks old, it was kind of hurting a little and a little bit of a knot. I could feel a knot underneath. I showed Mark and he was like, oh my gosh, it had changed. It was different, like black kind of. So he's the one actually that encouraged me. That was like, you've got to go to the doctor. So I did. And they removed it. They called, let's see, the next night is Sandy, Dr. Hudson's wife, called and told me to come on in and bring some family. And that's when Mark and I were like, okay, so I tell Mark this, I'm like sitting right here and he was sitting there and I'm like, they called, they want us to come in to Dr. Hudson's office and bring family. He takes off out the door. He bolted. And I was like, okay.
I knew something was wrong because when we got to the doctor's office, they were treating us overly nice.
We had to go. They sent us to the oncology office, and I really had no idea what I was walking into there. We were there hours the first visit, because they do a bone scan, blood work, extensive blood work. You meet with the doctor, check your lymph nodes, they do EKG, x-rays, because a lot of times melanoma will spread to your lungs, so they did a lung x-ray. Then they scheduled my PET scan. And honestly, just thought the PET scan would be something just precautionary. Well, then we go get my PET scan results the next week, and apparently the whole side of my body, left side of my body, was lit up, which showed some metabolic activity. It was on the same side as the original melanoma, and it was apparently really deep. So, next step is going to a surgeon. This was the second surgery, and he said that whatever it was needed to come out because I just, had a surgery to remove a melanoma tumor. And we scheduled that surgery on January 14th, 2010, and that was really hard.
The more I read, the more I kept asking Ginger to comfort me because that's actually true.
It's true.
She was, I think I was more afraid than she was. Yeah, I just kept wanting doctors to tell us one way or the other, is she going to be okay? And over time I came to realize that they couldn't tell us definitively whether she would be okay or not.
There were times where I was not positive. There were
right.
Yeah.
Very negative.
There were times like where I would be on the we called them the death blogs, where people for melanoma support groups were blogging about their loved ones they had just lost, and I would sit up till 3 reading it and thinking, oh man, somebody's gonna be right in mine.
I just came to the realization there really wasn't anything I could do. And that was hard at first because I wanted to help her any way I could, but on the other hand, when there's nothing you can do, to get her out of that situation, I just, went to all of her visits with her and tried to be there for her, mainly. And it was honestly me and Ruby for a couple of months. I guess it was a good opportunity for us to bond because it was really just us.
And I stopped treatment against my doctor's, wishes. But he agreed for me to do another scan just to see, and we did one, and it was clear.
What was that like when you got the result?
Oh, whew. We hadn't had good news in forever, so...
Yeah, we expected bad news.
We were just like, nah, I'm done.
There's no reason for us to suspect bad news, but we just conditioned to it.
We just were so, used to it. And then that was, the scan was great.
So how far was, when you diagnosed Ginger, how aggressive did you want treatment to be, and how did you...
The penetration of Ginger's melanoma was 1 millimeter, and that's the cusp of danger. Anything less than 1 millimeter has a favorable prognosis. Anything more than 1 millimeter, the prognosis becomes more hazy, and she was right on the cusp. So in addition to surgically treating her by removing it, we referred her to oncology so that other options of treatment could be considered to increase her survival potential.
During the treatments, I didn't really lose any hair. After I finished, it started falling out in huge handfuls, and we couldn't figure out why. And so Dr. Kincaid did some blood work, and I pretty much had no iron in my body. So it, you know,
It's
was
a common cause of
yeah.
illness in women.
Yeah. So and, you know, we did the iron, and it started growing back. And I've had in my mind since then, like, I want so bad to educate people. Because, like I said, I did not, when you told me, I was like, okay. And I thought, well, why is everybody so upset? You know, I just didn't, you know, because my husband's crying, and, you know, I'm like, okay.
Well, that's another difficult thing about melanoma, is because it strikes the young so commonly. Most young people, young adults, have a feeling of invincibility.
Yeah.
And you just don't think that you could have cancer.
Do you have any advice for anybody who's just gotten a diagnosis, anyone who's going through treatment?
Goodness. Yeah. To do lots and lots and lots of research. I got lucky with my doctor and did not need a second opinion from my oncologist, but that's okay. And support from family and friends is major, major, major.